Welcome to the Wallnau Show. We always make it a point to have information you don't get from other places. I don't want to ever be redundant. You know, we all get these news feeds, but I got Mercedes Sparks over here, whose job is to spark the conversation, with punctuate it with any corrections to what I said that are inaccurate,
or incisive commentary.
Incisive commentary.
Every once in a while, there's something.
Every once in a while, that's right. As well, it's like Andrew Womack last night. I was doing his Truth and Liberty. He said, "Well, we have Lance Wallnau. He's mostly a blessing." I said, "What do you mean he's mostly Andrew Womack, mostly a blessing?" All right, listen. I've got Chris Farrell from Judicial Watch, one of our new contacts that we have that helps us to know and interpret what's going on. Judicial Watch is famous for doing these FOIA requests and getting information out that the left always wants to hide. I don't know why they are this way. They say we want transparency, and then we have to have Judicial Watch constantly legally basically challenge them to give us information. Chris, welcome to the show.
Great to be with you, Lance. Thanks very much.
Now, you're right there in Washington, D.C. in the belly of the beast. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So from your window, you can tell us what's going on right now over there in the Biden White House and give us an update. I need to know, what is your present assessment of the Mar-A-Lago debate going on in terms of the Department of Justice, the redacted contents of the compelling reason for having to do a raid with the FBI? Give us your perspective on what happened.
Okay, so for context, I've been at Judicial Watch for 23 years. And before that, I was a special agent of Army counterintelligence. So I've done the types of investigations that the FBI is purportedly doing. I've tracked down people who are stealing secrets, giving them to foreign governments, all those sorts of things. So I know of what I speak. I've done it for a living. The Mar-A-Lago warrant is very, very weak tea. It is thin stuff. There's no compelling case based on anything that was publicly made available. There's stuff that may be in the redacted area that has some blockbuster language in it, but based upon the introduction and then the parts that are already made available, there's no there. And you have to remember the sequence of events. President Trump, under the Presidential Records Act, all the documents that he decides he wants to take with him are his. The stuff that's classified, he can declassify. And the reason I say that is because Judicial Watch went into court 10 years ago trying to get Clinton records, the same type of records, stuff that Bill Clinton had taken with him out of the White House. And we lost in court. We have a ruling from a judge, Judge Amy Berman Jackson here in D.C., that says the president alone has unreviewable, absolute authority for all papers that are presidential records. Absolute, unreviewable authority. And the entire classification system exists to support the president making decisions using classified information. So anything that he did declassified on the way out the door of the White House is declassified. And whatever he says is a presidential record or belongs to him as a personal record is a personal record. So this entire song and dance you've seen played out, where the president, NARA, the National Archives, came to the president and said, oh, we want this, we want that. The FBI got involved. The whole thing is a put-up job. It's phony because we have a court order, a decision from a judge, Amy Berman Jackson, right here in the U.S. District Court, about Bill Clinton's papers, actually about recordings he did with a historian named Taylor Branch. We thought the recording should be part of the public record. They said, no, drop dead, it's ours. And they won. So all those documents and records President Trump had are his. He was a nice guy. He made a mistake. He was too nice of a guy. And he engaged in a debate with them over which records to keep or which records to give back, whether some could be, put in the archives or not. But in the end, he has absolute unreviewable authority over that. And so I don't understand why he's been so nice, frankly. I don't understand why he's been so cooperative with the archives and the FBI. But okay, so he was, and he did cooperate. Great, that's the facts. The facts are the FBI and the archives, they indexed everything that he had. There's no surprises. He gave some back. He kept some. The stuff he kept, they indexed everything. They said, you got to change the lock on the storage facility. He did. He improved the lock. The president went into a meeting with the FBI and the archives and said, anything you guys need, we'll get to you. I cooperate with you 100%. That was in June. Suddenly in August, they have to raid the building. And look, even if you hate Trump, even if you think everything in the world horrible about him, there were his records in a secure facility on a presidential compound guarded by Secret Service. What is the likelihood of compromise? Who's going to get at those records that shouldn't have access to them? The answer is nobody. So how do you have a search warrant to bust down doors when they were already all sitting together at the table talking and negotiating in June? They secured it the way they wanted it. It's all guarded by Secret Service, but now you have to come in and break down a door and rifle through everything. Why? And that's the problem with the search warrant at Mar-A-Lago.
So his attorneys have to be able to have access to the actual subpoena, the document. They have to be able to see the unredacted, don't they? I mean, they have to.
That is part of the problem. We were the very first people to go into court. We went into court Tuesday. The raid was Monday. Tuesday afternoon, we were in court. We filed a motion to unseal all the underlying material concerning that warrant because we want to. What's there? We want to see what's there. And the idea that they have to keep large portions of it redacted, even that's phony. And why is it phony? Because the raid already happened. It's a done deal. It's history. You can't unring the bell. And supposedly that raid allowed them to either stop a crime from occurring or interdict. They either recovered the evidence of a crime or they interdicted a crime. That's the reason why you get a warrant. So why in the world, after the fact, can't you reveal more information? Even they have a real problem with this warrant because the law doesn't line up with it because we have a court opinion that proves it, and the facts don't line up with it. So that leads me to believe this is all a political hit job. This is an effort to try to further muddy up the president, make the public think he stole classified documents or whatever. It is a smear job of the highest order. And again, realize this guy may very well run for president. Again, it's a political opponent that they're targeting this way. And it goes right back into the White House. We know that.
So I have a question I want to ask you in a moment about what the paperwork problem was with Trump's attorneys, because now I'm reading the spin on that his lawyers didn't respond with the right paperwork. I don't know if that's true or not, because it could be like the nuclear code, could be just planted stories as a psyop thing. But I'm interested in knowing, where does this go? Mercedes, did you have anything you wanted to ask while we're on the subject?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, what's Trump's next move? Like, at this point, how's he going to hit back?
Yeah, I mean, his lawyers have asked for a special master to get involved in reviewing the records that were taken because the FBI shouldn't have access. He claims, and I believe the president, he claims that there was attorney-client privileged material in there, meaning records and papers that he had shared with his attorneys and gotten their legal opinions on. And their work product, their back and forth with them about legal opinions, the FBI can't have access to. They're not supposed to. So the special master is supposed to get in and review all the papers to see who was supposed to get what. The problem, I think, is number one, I'm very cynical, okay? So when you go in and you ask a special master to evaluate, all you're doing is asking for another government attorney, right? Mm-hmm. Another guy who draws a paycheck from the U.S. Treasury. Maybe he's wearing a black robe, maybe he isn't. But it's another government official to come in and review documents that the government has, right? So I'm very leery. I'm very skeptical of it. It's kind of an inside game in that point. And so I fall back on our experience and our legal finding, the order we have from Judge Amy Berman Jackson that says that the president has absolute unreviewable authority on all these records. And that's what my position would be. I would say, look, this has already been litigated. There's already a federal court decision. I win. Give me everything back, effective immediately. And everything I had to begin with was mine, and it was declassified by me. Nobody can overcall that. Nobody can second guess me on that.
That would be what you want to see him do. But my suspicion is that they're going to drip feed for the next 10 weeks, salacious, stimulating, kind of Steele dossier type intriguing tidbits about we are now opening up an investigation into this and into that, and into the relationship between Trump Enterprises with blah, blah, blah. And am I being cynical? We only got 50 seconds on this segment, or is that not what's going to happen?
No, you hit the nail on the head. They don't want any of the facts getting out, and that would be the records and documents that they've sworn to, that sworn affidavit. They don't want that getting out. What they'd rather do is have their friends make phone calls, have a meeting at the coffee shop, the whispering campaign, the phony baloney double talk, and like you said, dribble out 3 or 4 or 5 totally phony stories, just like they did with Russia, Ukraine, all the other nonsense we put up with for years. They love peddling these stories and making stuff sensational. That's what they'll do.
Well, you're absolutely right, Chris Farrell, Judicial Watch. If people want to be able to follow more and get more acquainted with your very, I think, clarifying communication, what do? They just go to Judicial Watch?
Judicialwatch.org, O-R-G. That's our website. We have tons of information, records, documents up there. We're trying to educate the public about the operations of government.
All right. Well, Chris Farrell, we're going to have you on again. Thank you for being our man in Washington to explain to us and demystify the complex. And it's exactly what I thought it was. As bad as I thought it would be. But I appreciate, Chris, your clarifying. We'll be talking to you again in the future. Thank you.